This is another topic I wanted to hit on today. I don't know how if you've been following what's going on with Section 230, but basically Trump has an executive order that he wants to blow a hole in what's known as Section 230, which is part of the Communications Decency Act, which basically says that when somebody puts something on an open publishing platform or publishes something to a website, be it a Facebook, a Twitter, or like a user comment on a news article or whatever it may be, the outlet itself is not responsible for what that user posts. And when you see institutions like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube act as censors, well, that's not cool, because now what they're trying to do is they're trying to kind of have their cake and eat it too. They're saying, hey, we're an open publishing platform. Well, except when we decide we're not. And that's a problem. Trump's solution for this problem is to blow a hole in Section 230, which is not really a solution at all. It just transfers authoritarianism from Silicon Valley billionaires to the FCC. And basically, the way I like to describe it to folks, it's like the equivalent of somebody goes into a hospital because they have a broken arm. And to fix that broken arm, the doctor sets them on fire. Is that your package?
Yeah, it is.
That's your package?
I knew it was going to happen at this time. It's okay. I don't have to get it. My wife can get it. But
oh, okay. All right.
Anyway, it's cool. Keep going.
Danny warned me he was going to have a package come.
Is it yeah,
a package? Yeah. We don't know. We'll all be left to wonder.
Yeah.
So here's what's going on. Here's an update on all that. Trump threatens to veto defense bill unless social media shield is repealed. Now, this is what the article calls it, a social media, quote, shield, which a friend of the show, Evan Greer, tweeted this out. She's calling Section 230 a social media shield. That's like calling the First Amendment a neo-Nazi shield, or call it like that makes no sense, because it refers to all online speech, not just these social media platforms. So let's see what's going on here. President Trump threatened Tuesday to veto a must-pass annual defense policy bill unless Congress agrees to end a federal law that provides social media companies with a crucial legal shield. Again, that's not all it does. It's a lot bigger than that. You're trying to solve a problem with a really terrible solution. This is not a solution at all. Trump made this threat, so here's what he tweeted. Section 230, which is a liability shielding gift from the U.S. to big tech, again, not what it actually is a serious threat to our national security and election integrity. Our country can never be safe and secure if we allow it to stand. Therefore, it is very dangerous and unfair. Section 230 is not completely terminated. As part of the National Defense Authorization Act, I will be forced unequivocally to veto the bill when sent to his desk. So that's what Donald Trump is threatening to do. So this is where it stands. This is what he's trying to do. Now, simultaneously, here is something else that's going on right now. We talked about Nathan Symington, being confirmed to the FCC. Here's what's going on there and do about that. Oh, wow. Okay. I can't look at that tweet right now. All right. Weird. Okay. All right. Never mind. I had a tweet from Fight for the Future that was you could go to battleforthenet.com and call your editor to demand that they do not approve Nathan Symington to the FCC. Nathan Symington, one of the architects of Trump's attempt to gut Section 230. He's totally unqualified, other than he just does what Trump says. And if they appoint him, the FCC will basically be in gridlock and not really be able to reinstate net neutrality until Joe Biden appoints a new head, which we're not even guaranteed Joe Biden is going to appoint a pro-net neutrality FCC head. He has promised he would, but that's not quite enough for me. I'll believe it when I see it. So anyway, I'm bummed out about that tweet. I don't know what happened there. But have you been following the Section 230 thing at all, Danny?
Not really. I mean, I've been seeing stories about it. I've read a little bit. From what you just stated, it sounds like there is, some bitterness on the Trump administration about how, especially by Donald Trump himself, by how social media treated him in particular. There was a lot of censorship of his wild claims, which were baseless. But Twitter did take the lead in censoring a U.S. president, which is quite unprecedented. So this has been a building tension for as many years as Trump has been in office, right? This Silicon Valley versus Trump's wing of the elite, and they have sparred in many ways. I mean, a lot of Trump aligned forces and the left together got a lot of the brunt of the censorship
Right.
that Silicon Valley laid on the people. And so, it's it's seems to me this buildup, right? This long progression of what the FCC has become, basically just an instrument of these big tech corporations. It was Clinton who kind of destroyed the FCC's regulatory capacity in '96 and monopolized the media as we know it.
Yep.
And with the 1996 Telecommunications Act. So, as you said, I'm in agreement. I don't know if Joe Biden's pick will be any better, but certainly what Trump is doing doesn't really hold any benefit to us either, right? So it is this dead end political vortex almost that we're in, where Trump is gonna kick and scream his way out of office. We hope that he does something like pardon Assange or pardon Edward Snowden, but
Do you
I'm not
think he
holding my
will?
breath on that. No, no,
Yeah, I don't
I
think so
don't,
either.
because yeah, no,
I
no,
mean,
I
I
don't
wish
think
he
he.
would, obviously, but
I don't think we're gonna get anything really good. I mean, people should demand, right? Since Trump has been in office, everyone should have been demanding, troop removals, and the left really kind of screwed up big time under the Trump administration. But no, do I expect that to happen? Definitely not, because the forces behind the assault on Assange and Snowden, and they go by the beat of their own drum, and I don't think Donald Trump would use his last month or so in office to do something that would immensely anger them, especially if he wants to go for 2024 again, which seems to be in the cards.
you think he will?
I don't know. I mean, if he talks about it, I'm willing to at least engage with the fact that it's either him or his political operation will have a
Sure.
big hand in the GOP. So it's unclear, but if he wants to keep it open, the door open, you don't anger the CIA in that way.
Right. I still think he kind of just wants to start his network. I mean, I don't know. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but there
It's
have been
it's
grumblings that that's what he's going to do. And he's just going to engage metrics for the last month, hijack as many news cycles as he can, because hey, that's one thing the guy knows how to do. Guy knows how to
Mhm.
hijack a news cycle. He's been doing it for 4 freaking years, and he
Yes.
plays the press like a fiddle. The corporate press. Granted, they're not that hard to play, but he still
No.
does it. And that's what he's going to continue to do. Then he's going to start his network, and he's going to basically succeed at what Sarah Palin failed at. I think that's likely what's going to happen. But he might, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he will run in 2024. I don't think he ever
Well,
wanted the gig, though.
no, that's true too. Yeah, I don't. I think that's 100% true. I think a lot of this was really always about his brand, which is part of the political inconsistency in Donald Trump in so many ways, right? He can be a far right, oligarch in some ways, and in other ways, he's doing his own thing because he's always interested in his brand. And even if it is something that we should not have opposed, which unfortunately a lot of quote unquote liberals oppose, things like détente with Russia, for example. Strange, very weird that the establishment wants war with Russia. It seems to me a very counterproductive exercise, but that was part of Trump's brand. His brand was,
Yeah.
I'm gonna flank in certain areas that I know I can flank against the establishment, so I can look like the outsider. I can do that, and he fooled a lot of people. I mean, look, there are a lot of people who who still believe Trump is an outsider. He didn't get all those votes for nothing. And as you said before, too, the only reason the Democrats beat Trump this time is because it's a pandemic and it's an economic crisis, and mail-in voting was easier than general vote, than just voting in a in-person election with all of the anomalies and suppression that goes on during election cycles. So that's really the only reason Biden could pull this one out. And it's troubling because I think uh, there's a lot of unfortunate lessons that are hard for people to swallow. One is that Trump wasn't the Nazi monster we thought he was. He was actually the aberration, at least individually, that that a lot of on the left we thought he was, someone who kind of just accidentally became president. But also his political forces are not the Nazi monsters we thought they were, that a lot of liberals thought they were. But it is still a troubling trend that all we have politically in Washington is either a neoliberal option or the Trump GOP option, and neither of those things bring any material benefit. Like, where has been the material benefit out of it in a Trump administration? The
Right.
same with the Democratic Party administration, right? And those lessons, I think, are difficult because people got caught up in the media circus, because that's what politics are in a lot of ways in the United States right now.
Yeah, well, and then bringing it back to Section 230, I mean, when you're talking the censorship, and especially as you pointed out, and as we've seen, the left in a lot of that censorship as well. The problem is very much apparent. Like, no one's saying it's not a problem. What's very disturbing is how this is solution, and then you see these elected officials, you see people like Ted Cruz go to these hearings and just demonstrate that they don't understand what this law actually does and what taking it away would actually do. They just don't understand it. They just do these grandstanding theatrics like, oh, this is suppressing, blah, blah, blah. And then underneath it, people say, well, so this is what the policy actually does. And this is how, if you gutted Section 230, it would lead to more censorship, not less. A, because you would just have FCC bureaucrats doing the same thing. B, because now all these social media platforms, they're going to be scared of lawsuits. So they're just going to censor all political speech whatsoever because they don't want to get sued. So it would lead to more online censorship, not less, which, by the way, it already has. Ever since Trump's executive order, they started scrubbing YouTube channels. They started suspending people more. I mean, it's already happened. So it's right there. And there's this weird trend. And I think it goes to when you just go from neo-fascist to neocon and do ring around the rosy with one or the other. Both are destructive. Both lead to the other. We live in this moment where we think that we can fix a bad situation with shittier policy. And the world doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
No, it definitely it doesn't. It works for the corporate interests that ultimately control Washington. I mean, that's really where the debate seems to be stuck, right? Ted Cruz and they have these like neo-fascist libertarian kind of economic ideologies that if you just let corporations go and kind of determine things, that's what needs to happen. But then they don't like that when it affects them, basically. So they want to repeal this thing because they obviously think that there needs to be more tightened control in a time where they believe that they're the ones who are the victims of whatever the Democratic Party's the so-called rigged election. That's the narrative that Trump and a lot of the GOP has adopted, which the Democrats helped push along with the whole Russiagate 4-year-long election that we had under Trump. So, yeah, as you said, there is this very organic relationship and connection between the Trump and GOP wing of the elite and the Democratic Party, more neoliberal wing of the elite. They play off of each other. It's like the picture, the image of Kamala Harris fist bumping Lindsey Graham, right? That's the real relationship between the two wings of the duopoly, and all policies that are debated reflect this. That's why we have no real solutions to what is a real big problem for us, for people who are trying to do independent journalism, who are trying to do independent organizing, who are trying to build a new world, who want to see a more just and equitable society here. That's the biggest consequences of what these laws kind of dole out to us fall hardest on the people doing the real work. And that's where the entire elite agree wholeheartedly in making sure that whatever happens, whether it's the FCC in control, whether if it's Silicon Valley corporations in control, that the outcome is beneficial regardless for them.
So, real quick here, I figured out. So, what happened was the tech glitch I had there was I unknowingly signed out of Twitter before the show started. That's why I couldn't see that tweet. So, here it is. Here's what you can do to try to stop Nathan Symington from being appointed. You can go to battleforthenet.com and you can call your senators. You just put in your zip code and then they will connect you and you can let your voice be heard.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your